I knew this time was coming, and this time is here. Hope everybody's had a great Wednesday, is this the 19th or the 18th? The 19th of 2020. This is Dre All Day, coming to y'all live as usual. Megan, what's good? As y'all come in, tell me your name and location. Shout yourself out in the comment section. I will shout you out if you happen to get your shout out in before I get started, before I get into this material, which will be very soon. So if you're checking in on Facebook, I'm live on Facebook as well, for those of y'all don't know. So if you ever ain't on IG, you can just hit on Facebook. Hit me up on Facebook, which is at Facebook/Work on Your Game. Facebook/Work on Your Game. That's the Work on Your Game / Dre Baldwin business page. Again, that's on Facebook. And I'm on IG right now at Dre Baldwin. And we do put these on YouTube when they're done. But it ain't going to come out on YouTube for about a month because we got a bunch of other videos that got to go in front of it. So if you miss it, check my feed on IG or go to my Facebook page. That's where it'll be at. As y'all check in, shout yourself out. I'll shout you out real quick. We got Nick checking in from the ATL. Shout out to Atlanta. I got some friends in Atlanta. Shout out to everybody in the ATL. Shout out to the state of Georgia. As y'all checking in, shout yourself out. We're going to get started in like 20 seconds. I'm going to introduce myself. We're going to get into the material. Y'all see what the topic is. Then I'm going to tell you about these publications. These are just a few of my publications right here in front of you. This is about 10% of my publications and that are actual binded books. I got a bunch more publications, less than 1% overall. But anyway, we'll get into all that. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. We got H-Town in here. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I'm the author of 27 books. That is not an exaggeration, 27 books. Creator of over 15,000 pieces of content over the last 15 years on the internet. I've been online. I wrote my first blog post in 2005, so I've been online for a minute. I'm never washed, but I'm not new. And as far as what we do here, I tell y'all about this work on your game philosophy that I created. It's all about taking the mental tools necessary to be successful in sports. Lisa over there from Houston. Shout out to Houston, Texas. We got Texas heavy in the house here today. What was I talking about? Taking the mental tools necessary to be successful in sports and applying those same tools to your business and to your life. And that can mean whether how you approach things mentally, how you approach things physically, your preparation, your confidence, your discipline, mental toughness, how you make things start to happen instead of waiting for things to happen. All of those things matter. All of those things are part of the game. That's what we call it, work on your game. So it doesn't matter what you do, whether you play a sport, that's a game. You're in business, that's a game. You're trying to get a job, that's a game. You're trying to get a date, that is a game. Whatever you're doing, as long as you're alive and you're active in it, you're in the game. That's why this whole thing is called Work on Your Game. This is not just for an athlete. It's not just for entrepreneurs. Not just for authors. It's for everybody. Ryan from Virginia checking in. Megan, what's good? Blake, what's going on? Billy Tolliver. You're right about that, Billy Tolliver. So now, what we're talking about here today is why you are being ignored and overlooked. ARB14, you came in right on time to get the last shout out. Now, any questions from this point forward, I will take at the end. The topic here today is why you are being ignored, why you are being overlooked, why people are not paying attention to you. This is something that, coming from the sports world, I get a lot of athletes that will ask me questions like this, like, Dre, I'm doing these things and I have game, but I'm not being scouted. Nobody's looking at me. I'm not getting any offers. I don't have any scholarships, or a player trying to play pro. I'm not getting any opportunities. I don't have an agent. Nobody's returning my calls and my emails. And even in the business world, actually, especially in the business world, where it is not as, at least in the sports world, you know exactly what the next step is. You play high school, next is college, next is the pros. At least you know what the path is. In the business world, there's no structure that's set up for everybody like that. So in the business world, you really got to figure everything out on your own. There's no scoreboard in business. You got to make your own. So if you're trying to get seen, you're trying to build an audience on the internet. How do you get people to pay attention to you? You wrote a book. How do you get anybody to buy it? You got a free webinar or workshop. How do you get anybody to even show up? Even if it's free, how do you get anybody to even show up and pay attention to you in the first place? A lot of people have these questions. So what we're going to talk about here today is why you are being ignored and overlooked. And here's what else I'm going to do for you, okay? I'm going to also tell you how to fix each one of these problems. I'm going to tell you 4 reasons why you are being ignored and overlooked. And I'm going to tell you each way to change, or the change that you can enact to counteract this issue that is causing you trouble right now in this moment. Everybody got that. That is afflicting you. That's the word I was looking for right now. So why you are not getting the looks. Number 1 reason why you are being ignored and overlooked, ladies and gentlemen. And Mozart Gates got it right. Class is in session. Number 1 reason you're being overlooked. You are too similar to everyone else. What you are offering is not differentiating you from anyone else in the room. Basically, you're a Me Too individual. And I don't mean the Me Too hashtag. I'm talking about Me Too as in there's 100 other people doing that and you just became person number 101 in line. We don't need you. And when I say we, I'm talking about the marketplace. The marketplace does not need another carbon copy. It doesn't need another person doing the same thing, saying the same stuff with the same presentation, the same cliches, the same stories, etc., etc. You got to bring something new to the game. And whatever it is that you bring new to the game, understand it doesn't have to be new to everybody in the world. It just needs to be new to the audience that you are seeking to influence, the audience that you want to serve. It just has to be new to them. So understand, you don't have to be known to everybody. You don't have to be accepted by everybody. You don't have to sell your products to everybody. You just have to have a certain audience that you have defined, that you know who you're reaching, and you got to be new to them. Because if you're giving them the same thing that they already have, they don't need you. So something new about you could be how you present yourself, the way that you talk, what you're actually offering, where you're from, what kind of background or story that you have, who you're trying to help, how you help people. These are all different ways that you can present yourself as something new. If people cannot, and people need to understand what the difference is. So when there's a difference between you and everybody else out there, you can't only know it in your head, but then nobody else knows, because that still makes you the same. So whatever the difference is between you and everybody else out there, you have to make sure you make that difference clear through the way you market and promote and present yourself, so that somebody else who doesn't know you, they don't know what you know, they can look at you and see, all right, no, it's different between him and everybody else, because look at this, look at this, look at that. They should be able to tell. You shouldn't have to explain it to them. It should be clear what the difference is between you and everybody else out there. And there's a way for everyone to do this. You just have to decide what is going to be for you. For example, Michael Jordan, there was 2 times he did this. And many of y'all probably saw the documentary that they did about Jordan in spring of this year. But one of the things in 1992, when he was going against Clyde Drexler in the NBA Finals, a lot of people said, well, Jordan and Drexler are the 2 best players at their position in the NBA. And Michael Jordan said years later on one of his VHS tapes from back in the day, he was like, look, I respect Clyde Drexler, but I wanted to make sure people understood there's a clear difference between Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler. And how could he prove that? They both play basketball. They both tall. They both can jump high. They both got bald heads. They both black. What's the difference between them? Michael Jordan, the only way he could prove the difference was he had to beat him and make sure it was clear that he was better than him based on how he performed on the court. And I think Jordan proved that with the way that he won. Then a few years later, he was going against Karl Malone. And it was a similar story. Same thing I said. That, yeah, I respect Karl Malone, but I wanted to make sure people understood that even though Karl's great, he's a Hall of Famer like me, he was on a dream team like me, there's a difference between Jordan and Malone. And Jordan had to beat him the first time to prove that. And then the second time, he's like, all right, if Malone beats me the second time, then it's like tied. So now I got to beat him again just to make sure nobody can say that we're the same. So he had to go out there and he had to prove it through his performance. You may have to do it through a different way. You have to figure out what that is. Your job is to get specific about what you're doing so they can be clear you're the only one. So if you're not doing something like basketball where there's only really one way to win, in business there's a lot of different ways to win, you got to get specific. All right, as they say in the business world, the riches are in the niches. And the niche means a specific area, a specific thing that you do that people got to come directly to you for. A simple example of this is if you're a doctor, of course, you got the general practitioners, the doctor you could go to for any problem. Then you got the specific doctors, like the chiropractor is for your back, right? Or if you have something wrong with your foot, you go to the podiatrist. Or if it's a kid, you go to the pediatrician. Or if it's a dog, you go to the veterinarian. Those people are more specific than the general practitioner who does a little bit of everything. So you need to figure out what can you do that makes you specific, that when people need that thing, they have to come to you. What is that going to be about you? Point number 2. Topic here today is why you're being ignored, overlooked, and looked over. Number 2, your value is too low. In other words, you are not worth the resources that you are asking for. Understand that every one of us we all got 24 hours in a day, right? And we all have limits on our time, our attention, our energy, our focus. How much we can put towards any one thing at a time is a limit. So we have to decide what's worth it. So your challenge right now, the problem that you have right now may not be that there's something wrong with what you're offering. The problem might be that what you're offering, though it is good, the value that people get in exchange for whatever they got to give to get it is just not worth it for them. So yes, I could go and buy, like there might be a kid selling chocolate 3 blocks away from here for $1, but do I want chocolate that bad that I'm willing to go walk 3 blocks there and 3 blocks back just to get $1 worth of chocolate? It's probably not worth it to me. Now, if the person was selling $100 worth of chocolate and I just love chocolate, then I might walk 6 blocks, 3 blocks there and 3 blocks back to get $100 worth of chocolate, because to get $100 worth is worth the time and effort. But to get $1 worth, is that really worth it? Probably not. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. How much value are you offering people in exchange for what you're asking for? And understand, again, it doesn't mean that you're not worth what you're asking for. You might be asking for $1, but for some people, it's not worth it for $1. Some people, I don't know who it was, but there was some person who said, listen, I don't answer the phone for less than $10,000. And the point that they were making, I don't know if they were telling the truth. Maybe they were just talking shit. But whatever they said, the reason that they said that was to say, look, I'm only looking at opportunities that are at this level and above. So if you're presenting yourself below that line, that person is not interested, even if what you're offering for $5,000 is great, but they're like, yo, I'm not interested in $5,000 opportunities. I'm looking for something that's 10 grand and up. So you got to make sure whatever amount of value you are asking for or offering needs to be at the level of whomever you are offering it to. Some people are looking for $1 opportunities. Some people are looking for $1 million opportunities. You need to know who your audience is and what you're offering them so that they know that you know that you're offering them something that makes sense for what they need. So how you fix this? When you're not offering a good enough deal, one thing you can do is raise your price. I talked about this in 2 of my master classes, numbers 835 and 785. I talked about raising your price, how and when to raise your price, how to know when to raise your price, and what to do strategically to raise your price, both mentally, emotionally, and actually on paper changing your prices. So that is all covered at Work on Your Game University. For those of you who are not in the Work on Your Game University, listen, colleges basically canceled for the fall. A whole bunch of them did. They said they got remote learning. You will learn more through Work on Your Game University than you will learn at Notre Dame or or Harvard or Stanford or UCLA or any of those places. So you might as well just enroll and Work on Your Game University. And I guarantee you what they're going to charge you is a lot more than what we're going to charge you. And actually, I'll give you your first 2 weeks of school free. So go to Work on Your Game University, workonyourgameu.com, and you can sign up. Anyway, you got to become a better salesperson. Even if you don't change your prices, you just have to get better at selling what you have. It might not be anything wrong with your price. There's nothing wrong with your offer. There's nothing wrong with you. You have identified the right audience. The only problem is you don't know how to sell. All right, you couldn't sell water in the desert. All right, you couldn't sell beer on a college campus. Or you couldn't sell hair plugs to LeBron James. You just can't sell. All right, you might have great stuff. You just can't sell it. You are not good at transferring your emotion about your offer to other people, and that's why they're not buying it. So you must get better at selling whatever it is that you sell. And you can also read my book called The Seller's Mindset, which you can get at workonmygame.com/sell, SELL. I posted about that in my story today. So just go to my story. You'll see that post about The Seller's Mindset. That's my book on the mentality of selling, which everybody needs because everybody's a salesperson. That's at The Seller's Mindset. This is the name of the book. Go to workonmygame.com/sell. It is in my story that I posted today. Number three reason why you're being looked over and ignored is people don't know who you are. They are not even aware that you exist. People don't see you, so there's no way for them to engage with you, to buy from you, or do anything. You are not creating enough attention, or you have not created enough, and you are not standing out with your work. Understand that in life, if you want to get attention, you have to do something to stand out. All right. Most people are not intriguing enough just standing on the wall that somebody's going to be interested in you. There's a rare individual who's good enough to do that. Don't bet on you being that person. All right. Assume that you're not good enough to stand out just by being who you are. Now that you're going to have to make some noise so that people actually know who you are, know what you're about, know that you exist, and start actually paying attention to you. You must learn the art and the skill of drawing attention. There's an art to drawing attention and there's a skill to drawing attention. The art means the parts of it that are not colored by numbers and do this, do this, do this. That's not the art. That's the science part. That's the skill part. The art of drawing attention is you just having the subtleties, knowing how to get people to notice you, but you're not trying too hard to do it because then it looks like you're trying too hard. You don't want it to look like you're trying to get attention, but you are trying to get attention. That is what I mean when I say art. And some of you really need to learn art. A lot of people spend their lives chasing the science and the skill, but they never understand the art. And this is a failure in judgment, and then you end up coming up short. So how do you change this? The fact that nobody is actually recognizing you, nobody sees you. First of all, you can work on your game. Maybe your game is just not interesting enough, and that's why nobody's paying attention to it. Maybe you're not in the right places. Maybe you're not there at the right times. Maybe you don't have the right skills for what you're trying to do. So you got to make sure that whatever you're offering is good for the audience to which you are offering it. You might be offering the wrong thing to the wrong people. And number 4, reason why you're being overlooked, you are being too passive. You are not trying enough to get people's attention. You are not getting in people's faces. You are not interrupting the normal of what they're doing and making them pay attention to you. Sometimes in life, you got to make noise to get people to pay attention. You can't just be the quietest person in the room and hope that all the attention eventually comes to you. That's usually not the way it works in life. And the world, if you check the population stats, the world is only getting more crowded. There are more and more people in the world every day, every year. The number of people being born is more than the number of people who are dying. So the world is getting more crowded, and more people are jumping into the pool, trying to get themselves seen, heard, and known, and competing against everybody else for attention. And that's a great thing because it gives all of us plenty of options to choose from when we want to give our attention. But when we're trying to get attention, the challenge is we got to compete against everybody else out there. And if you are being passive, waiting for the attention to find you, it will never find you. I was just telling y'all my story here today. I did 2 media appearances today, not because I'm this super famous person that everybody's calling on, but because I know how to create attention for myself. And you need to learn how to do that. You may not necessarily want to do what I'm doing, but if whatever space you want to get attention, you got to learn how to do it. Whether you're playing a sport, whether you want to write books, whether you want to be a model, whatever it is you want to do, you must learn how to draw people's attention. If you can't do that, the attention will never find you, and all your value will go with you to the graveyard, the most valuable real estate on earth, because a bunch of people have skills and ability and talent and gifts, and they never get it out to the world because they don't know how to create attention. So how do you change this? Get active and learn how to get yourself seen. If you don't know how to get yourself seen, you need to hire somebody like myself who can consult you and show you the way that it's done based on the field that you're in, based on what you're trying to do. Go read some books, go watch some YouTube videos, go subscribe to some podcasts, go to some conferences, learn how to get yourself seen and to create attention. There are some people who know how to do it. There are some people who claim to know how to do it, but they're lying. Just look at people's results. Can they create attention for themselves? Are they able to create a fire where there's no fire? If they're not doing that, they don't know what they're doing. So how do you change this? Get active, as I said. Brainstorm how this gets done. Go talk to somebody who's already doing it and figure out what they're doing. Ask them what they're doing. Pay them to learn what they know how to know. What they know so that you can know it. Buy their books. Whatever it is you got to do, get the information and then start implementing it. All that being said, I'm going to recap these 4 points. What we talked about here, for anybody who came in the middle of me speaking, is why you're being ignored, why you're being passed over. First, I'm going to tell you how you can get both of these 2 books for free. Then I'm going to recap my points. Then if anybody has a question, I'll answer it. So this right here, it's called The Mirror of Motivation. It is a self-guide to self-discipline. The reason that this book exists is part of my 4-book bulletproof bundle that covers the 4 principal tenets of work on your game, the whole philosophy: discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative. This is the first book, Discipline, the self-guide to self-discipline, The Mirror of Motivation. What this book will do for you, let me explain it to you. This book will show you how you can start being the person that you need to be, which will in fact color the actions that you take, which will then lead to you getting the results that you want. Challenge that many people have in life is that they do a whole lot of stuff. They work hard, they work on their games, but they're still not getting the results. It is because they never focused on who they need to be while they are doing the work. This book will show you how to do that through looking in the mirror. That's why it's called The Mirror of Motivation. Get this at mirrorofmotivation.com. And I told you the book's free. I've already paid for a bunch of these books. All you have to do is cover the shipping. We will ship the book to you worldwide. The book's free. You cover the shipping. Mirrorofmotivation.com. This right here is called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This book is for anyone who wants to play professional basketball overseas, even if you've been overlooked, underrated, ignored, nobody paying attention, don't have any kind of resume, nobody helping you out. I came from a D3 school where I walked on, had no stats, no agent, no game film, no prospects, no nothing. I made a 9-year pro basketball career out of that. So if I could do that, you could do this. Go to balloverseas.com. I will ship you this 237-page book. It tells you all you need to know to get started in the pro basketball world. We got a bunch of other books there about the other aspects of the professional basketball world, such as agents, exposure camps, and the business side of the game. All of those you have available as options. But this book right here is already paid for. All you do is cover the shipping. balloverseas.com. Again, balloverseas.com to get that book. Now, I'm going to take the questions, if we have any questions. I'm not sure we have any. If you got a question, go ahead and post it right now. Should have said that earlier. If you got a question, go ahead and post it. I give people like 30 seconds to post if I don't see any questions in here. And then I'll tell you about this book here in the middle. called Work on Your Game, which I didn't talk about yet. We'll get to that in a minute. TRXZL was good. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's the way to say that. The question is, who's my pick to win the finals? I don't know yet. We don't know who's in the finals yet. Immortal J23 was good. Sports Lover said, what's the reason why girls ignore guys? Do guys need to be in shape? What's the main reason? Well, there's no main reason because every girl is unique. So we can't just put a blanket on all girls and all guys. So I can't answer that question in the way that it's stated. It depends on the individual person. Because every girl ain't the same and every guy is also not the same. Adrian said, you mentioned LeBron's hair. Do girls care if a guy is bald and no beard? Well, it was actually a tongue-in-cheek joke. But LeBron is already married, so I don't think it matters for him. Do girls care? Again, this is another question about girls. You can't speak for all girls. All girls are not the same. Each one is an individual person the same way every male is an individual person. And every, that transgender, whatever the phrases are, every one of them is an individual person as well. So you can't speak for all of them as one big group. They're not one big group. So anyway, this book right here, Work on Your Game, hardcover book. I took the best 250 pages of my whole philosophy, put it in one book. That's what the publisher asked for. I would have made it longer, but they said 250. That's it, Dre, no more. Don't put any more value in the book. This is as much as you can. So this is all I put in there, 250 pages, hardcover book. You can get this book at workonyourgamebook.com. This book is not free, but I'm going to give you $1,300 worth of free digital bonuses the moment that you order the book. So while you wait for us to ship this to you in the mail, you're going to get $1,300 of digital bonuses that you can access right now. Some of them are audio, some are video, and some are written. So you're getting 3 different formats of free stuff right now while you wait for this book to come in the mail. That's at workonyourgamebook.com. All right, now there is a question over here on Facebook. Somebody asking me about, for whatever reason, this ain't open. Oh, he was saying, talking about playing basketball and going to the league. Yeah, I stopped playing basketball in 2015, so that's kind of an old topic, but I appreciate the compliment. So anyway, that's that. Ain't no more questions, so that's a wrap. Everybody, I do these lives every single day. It ain't at the same time every day. Just turn on your notifications, be ready, and if you miss it, you'll catch it on my feed. Everybody have a great Wednesday. We're going live again tomorrow. Be ready, be on time, whatever time that happens to be. Work on your game. We out of here. Dre all day.